Good evening. It's Tuesday evening, which means, or is it Monday? It's Monday evening, even though it's one of them days today. Unfortunately, I'm going to have all sorts going on. But it's Monday evening, which means it's Champions League night this week. Tomorrow evening, we are in Portugal playing Sporting Lisbon. And tonight, joining me on the preview show is my two main men, Mr. Sam and Sean. Good evening, boys. How are we tonight?
Sorry.
Good. In a good place.
In a good place. That's what I like to hear. For everyone who's been waiting for the last 10-15 minutes, I'd like to apologize first because my audio just went down and I couldn't work it out. And in the end, it was something that got installed. So apologies. Sam, how are you this evening?
Good, thank you. Just trying to adjust. I'm on the phone today, so that's what I'm just. You might see a big hand come across like that. That's me just trying to adjust the phone. But yeah, I'm all good, man.
Good. So no fixtures at the weekend, which was obviously disappointing, but very, very valid reason. So all games got postponed. Games being postponed this weekend coming up as well. But Tottenham Leicester, I can tell you now, is on. So all Tottenham fans will be able to see some football before another 2.5 weeks break. However, it's that time of the week where the games are coming fast and furiously, and it's Champions League night. So tomorrow we are playing Sporting Lisbon in Portugal, 5:45 kickoff. Before we go into a little bit of quick, not analysis, but just some brief history and stuff like that. If you're watching tonight, please like the channel, please subscribe to our channel and follow, and just press that button, notification button. It just takes 1 second. That's all it takes, yeah? So, big night tonight, guys, tomorrow night. Thoughts on the Champions League and thoughts on, obviously, what's happened in since the last game we've played. So it's all about training, no match games, and we go straight into a Champions League game, and then we go back into another game, and then that's it. Thoughts on that?
Who's going to go?
Go on, Sam.
Go on, Sean.
Oh, go on then, Sean.
Well, we were a wee bit concerned that Conte does like a week between games, and through a very sad circumstance.
Yeah.
He obviously gets his week to prepare the team, so they should be prepared for the Marcus Edwards versus Eric Dyer derby, and we'll look forward to I was kind of replaying the sort of Marseille game in my head, and we kind of laboured, we did kind of labour, and it really took us going down to 10 men for us to kind of lay a glove on them. Superior fitness, maybe in the end, we kept going right to the end. But I do hope that we don't start in the sort of slow, lethargic way tomorrow evening.
Agree. Sam?
Yeah, in terms of what Sean said in preparation, yeah, I think missing that City game, because Conte kind of even touched on it in his post-match press conference after the first game. He was saying the game against Marseille. He was saying, yeah, Man City got extra days rest, which does make a difference when you're playing Wednesday night, and then again on the weekend. So I think it's probably a little bit of a blessing. Not to say I didn't want to play Manchester City, but that's given us that extra bit of time, get the players rested. I think we'll see less changes now than we probably would have seen beforehand. So I think we're going to probably see pretty much the similar team that played last week. Going back to the point of where we played well enough, home game, a bit of nerves. Yeah, I think we should have performed better. But hey, Richarlison, that's all I can say. Richarlison.
You know what? Sugar. I was just trying to do something, but it's not working. Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think last week was a slow starter. Spurs just went at the races, and it took that sending off, like you said, Sean, for us to actually get into the groove, as Madonna said, and eventually we won the game. But for me, we can't keep doing that. And we discussed this, didn't we, Sam? And I think, Sean, you as well, that it's going to be stuff like this now. It's going to be results over performances, and we're going to have to get used to it.
I look at the way we perform now, and we said this on the last preview or reaction show that we had. We've got pretty much a way of playing that Conte likes to do. I can't see us changing that way of playing anytime soon. But what the way of playing allows us to do is home and away. I think we play a very similar style. You know, we see it the Marseille game. We kind of almost gave them possession. I said it went down to 10 men, but we allowed them to have a bit more of the ball. They weren't looking as threatening as maybe someone like Manchester City could have been had given all that possession that they did have. But we have got a shape. We have got a defensive shape, and we seem to be able to spring from that well. And what was a good thing is we were scoring from crosses. We scored two-headed goals, which again in the past we haven't really scored a lot of goals from directly from crosses. Now we've got people in the box like like Kane, like Richarlison, who can hit the ball. I'm hopeful that we can catch any team on the counter and finish, and that's the good thing.
That's it. Right, so let's go straight into this. Champions League preview. Sporting Lisbon versus Tottenham Hotspur. UCL Champions League Group D. Currently, Sporting Lisbon are at the top. Played one, won one. Spurs have played one, won one. And obviously, Marseille, Frankfurt played one, lost one. We've scored three. We've scored two, and Lisbon have scored three. So going into tomorrow's game, it's going to be basically two teams top of the league. Just the one goal separating us. And if we look at the recent form, so Sporting's recent form, won 4-0 in the Portuguese Premier League. They won 3-0 against Frankfurt in the Champions League. They won 2-0 against Estoril in the Portuguese League. And then they lost to GD Chavez and Porto. And then they won 3-0 at Rio Avenue. Whereas Tottenham Hotspurs, we won 2-0 in the Champions League, beat Fulham 2-1, drew with West Ham, beat Forest 2-0, beat Wolves 1-0, drew 2-2 versus Chelsea. And current league position, Sporting Lisbon are 7th, Tottenham Hotspur are 3rd. So, my question is, 2-pointed questions. Does it matter where the positioning both teams are in at the moment in their respective league? And also, looking at the form, they've lost twice in the last 6 games. We've not lost a game in the last 6 games. So, Sam, league position make a difference?
Not necessarily league position. I think performance and how many games you've won. What's your recent form like? Yeah. Our recent form goes back into last season. So I think it's something like 18 games in the league, Premier League, and obviously we've started off the campaign in the Champions League this season with a win. So I think our form is good. I don't think it really matters about the other teams necessarily league position. How are they playing? What sort of style have they got? I think that the European style does suit a Spurs setup because of the way I said we can counter attack. So we're going to see this. We're going to see Sporting a lot of possession. We're going to see Sporting. We're going to be camped maybe not outside our box, but certainly in a defensive shape to spring from. So no, league position for me, Portuguese league is not the same as the Premier League either. So I'm good with it.
They're 7th. I think they've played 6 and they've lost 2 or 3 already. So, whereas like you said, our form from last season and this season. Sean, looking at the last 6 games, obviously we're the form team. But again, like Sam said, does that matter going into the game tomorrow?
It's very different, as Sam has already indicated. It's very difficult to give an equivalency between the Portuguese league, which is not as competitive as the Premier League can be, and what we've had to face. I mean, you can see that they've taken a 3-0 thumping off of Porto, who are like the strongest team, or probably one of the, if you like, there are the three main teams. So I think that's that. But however, counter that, they've gone to Eintracht Frankfurt, Europa League current holders, and have gone to their place and won 3-0.
Yeah.
By any measure, that's an incredible performance. And we would be wrong to just take this for granted. I certainly expect as tough a game in the Champions League as we would normally get. Yeah, I don't see, form. I don't think is the players rise to the occasion. We've got, as I've already indicated, Marcus Edwards will want to raise his game. He's got a point to prove that he didn't make it with us.
Yeah.
And, from all accounts, scored one and created one last week against Frankfurt. Obviously not the same Frankfurt that won the Europa League. They've lost a lot of players and are having a bit of a troubling time in the Bundesliga this year. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be a tight game again. I wonder whether the way we're playing like this is due to the fact, or the way that we are, is due to the fact that this is an energy conservation season more than anything else. With the World Cup coming in November, I think as already been alluded to on previous streams, I think it's about energy conservation, because this is going to be a season like no other.
This is sorry.
No, go on, Sam, Karen.
No, I was just saying this is I think Jamie O'Hara. There's a couple of people who've touched on this, and so Darius kind of touched on it in the last stream that we did. The way of playing that, and yeah, he's right. We rest when we don't have the ball. So in that defensive shape, it's very organised. We shift across left, but it's not too taxing. It's not one of them ones where you're having to shift across press. With the Liverpool style, I guess the Man City style, definitely the Arsenal style to a degree. And I've always maintained that you've got to have different styles of play. But if there's a style of play that fits a team's work ethic, if it fits the way that the players that we've got in the team in terms of being able to counter-attack quickly, we've got people on the bench that can come off. I think we're going to see this way of playing, and I'm not bad at side about it. I think it's actually something that we should actually look forward to, because it means that there's no team looking forward to playing us in the Champions League at all.
I agree with what both of you guys are saying. Now, last week we played Marseille, then our next game was Man City. So after the Champions League game last week, all the preparations were going into Saturday's game against Manchester City, and Conte must have done a lot of work with all his team behind him and the players getting match fit mentally for Man City. That game got cancelled, right? So all that training that they did for that particular game is obviously now out of their heads, and now they've got a couple of days, 3 days to prepare. I mean, I'd say Sunday, Monday, 2 days to prepare for Sporting Lisbon. Is that going to make a difference? Not mentally preparing for a game that didn't happen, and then you're going straight into a Champions League game on Tuesday night. Psychologically and mentally, is that going to affect the players on the pitch?
That's an interesting point. I think the match was called, the City game was called off quite quickly. And I would imagine that that they immediately went into, Sporting Lisbon mode and back to Champions League thing. Conte would have been, the private, yes, well done. I've got a bit more time with my players to work on things. Hopefully he'll start integrating more the new players that have come into the squad. I think it's it shouldn't have an effect. They've had more than enough time to prepare for Tuesday's game. So let's there's no excuse. There should be no excuses for a poor performance based on having a game cancelled on the Saturday.
Sam, thoughts on that one?
There shouldn't be a major impact on it. Yeah, they would have been more so. The coaching staff would have probably been mentally prepared, maybe even before the Marseille game for City, because you start preparing a little bit earlier. But Conte said in his press conference he's fully focused on Marseille. That's not 100% correct. He would have also had a bit of an eye on Manchester City, because you've got to make changes to the team. But the first day back, they would have had to have a warm down anyway. So they would have come back and into training on the Thursday. That wouldn't have been a training session. That would have been a warm down. They would have probably had video analysis going into that weekend. And the games were called off you could pretty much know that the game was going to be called off Thursday night when the news came out. So I think they would have probably had their minds already known that we're not going to play City. Let's move on to Sporting. And as I said, the way we play, the way we may have prepared for City in terms of them having a lot of possession, it's not really going to be any different. Just the quality is probably different. I don't think Sporting are Manchester City in any way, shape or form. And I think that won't make a massive difference to how we actually go and approach the game, just the individuals.
Talking of players and team. We're going to move on to the my predicted team for tomorrow, and then I want to see what you both boys think about it. But before I move on to that one particular player for Tottenham Hotspur, I'll talk about that other player for Sporting later, Sean. But one particular player for Tottenham Hotspur is going to be an interesting one for him. Eric Dyer, obviously, for his Portuguese connections and stuff like that. Do you think now he's going to be really, really, well, not psychological, but mentally, do you think he's going to be well up for this game tomorrow? He's got nothing. I don't think he's got anything to prove because he's already done it. He's proved it to prove it under Conte, where Conte's playing him week in, week out, and he's getting a performance out of him week in, week out. Considering prior to him coming in, a lot of Spurs fans were saying he's got to go. We've had enough of Dyer. He can't play in this team. He's a liability, blah, 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 blah. Come 12 months down the line, his performances have been solid. So is there going to be kind of a sentimental mindset to him going to Portugal tomorrow?
If you're asking me, I don't. I think he's been at that system long enough that it doesn't really mean too much. No, it means something, obviously, but I think he's far enough removed that I don't think he sees himself as being Portuguese or even from that. You know, he's been in England a long time. Sean's probably mentioned it already, but I'm more concerned about someone like Marcus Edwards for the opposition because he's got more to kind of prove. He's got more to come and let me show you, Spurs. Look what you've let go, as opposed to Eric Dyer from Sporting Lisbon. So I'm more concerned about that than anything else. Cool.
Sean, quickly, anything on that one?
Well, I think that Dyer did spend 10 years with Sporting Lisbon, so he said, and as I was reading in the Athletic today, he did go back there in the summer to catch up with coaches and players that he played with. So, you know, he does have there is an affection there, but he'll be professional. He'll be professional. He won't want to let himself down. He won't want to let Spurs down. And as Sam said, he's been away from, you know, them for a long time now. I mean, I think he still maintains, you know, as I say, contacts there, but if anything, that would spur him on to do really well and say, you know, as a thank you to Sporting Lisbon, you schooled me, but look what I've gone on to do.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's probably more so the case. I agree with that.
Yeah. Right. So this is my prediction for tomorrow. And obviously it's my prediction. So let's see what you guys think. I think tomorrow's team is going to be Hugo in goal, Romero, Dyer, Lenglet. I've gone with Doherty at right wing back and Cess at left wing back because I think Royal might need a rest because he's played all the games so far. So tomorrow might be right for him. I think Cess might get the start ahead of Perisic to just rest him before Leicester game on Saturday. The middle two speaks for themselves, Højbjerg and Bentancur. However, I've gone and done it. Kane, Richarlison and Kulusevski up top, and I'm dropping Son. Thoughts on that, boys? Sean?
Sure.
Well, I think Judge Jodi will drop you off the Christmas card list
Listen,
for dropping her boy, sort of Sonny. But Doherty, that's a bit of a left field one for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, he did come on, didn't he? Sort of late on against Marseille. But I still think Royal starts. To be fair, I still think Royal starts. He might play Sessegnon. Yeah, he might play Sessegnon because Sessegnon, Sessegnon and Marcus Edwards came through the England unders system together, so he might well play Sessegnon. I can't disagree with your back three. I still think Son will play. And Kulu again will have to, you know, do his impact from the bench. Although, to be fair, Kulu turned the game last week in our stadium, you know, against Marseille. I thought he was absolutely immense when he came on. So he'll be champing at the bit. But I think it's going to be relatively the same team with maybe Sessegnon for Perisic. Yeah.
My thinking behind the front three was purely Richarlison stays because he scored last week against Marseille twice. Kulu came off the bench, made impact. However, Kulu hasn't been playing as well and Son's not been too well. Out of the two, I think Kulu's played slightly better than Son. So if he had the balls to drop Kulu last week, then I think he's got the balls to drop Son tomorrow. Sam, thoughts?
I don't see him dropping Son because of the rest. There was a possible change had we played City that may have affected this weekend. I think we all seen Conte last season, and even to the back this season, there hasn't been a lot of wholesale changes. I know we had a game where there was like 4 or 5 changes, maybe more than that, but it was players that I think should have been in the team anyway. So I can see Perisic starting ahead of Sessegnon. For the fact that I might think Sessegnon might be a good option for City game anyway because of the fact that he's athletic. I agree about Royal on the right hand side. I think he starts, and I think he's going to start most games because he's really athletic, and I don't see any problem with him playing. I would like to see the others play, Spence or Doherty, but I don't think we're going to see that. Back three, yep, I agree with. Midfield 2, yep, I don't see anybody coming in for that. I don't see Skip or Basuma coming in to make those changes because those two have been playing well. But I think your front three, Kulu's going to miss out, and Kulu's going to start against Leicester at the weekend.
Yeah, okay, I was just throwing it up. I mean, I did get hammered by my boy as well. He was sort of the same thing you boy. He did say that Doherty's not coming. I'm just throwing him in. The reason is because
he's not throwing them in now, Sid. You know what I mean? There's been plenty of opportunities for these players to start. And as we mean, with Kid, Conte's got enough time between games. He really likes a settled team. He really and there's no reason why rules. Yeah, performed badly. I think he's performed pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. But I just thought, you know what? Let's be a little bit of devil's advocate and let's throw a couple of players in, see what happens. But you never know. Tomorrow you might even start with Skip and Basuma in the middle. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
You know, predicting Conte is a difficult one at the best of times, but he does seem to have his favourites. I feel a bit sorry for Ben Davies actually because he's I don't think he's done particularly wrong, but I mean Langley has he's got plenty of passing ability that maybe Davies doesn't quite have. No.
I think Davies knows his place in the squad. I know he was a lot of the first team last season, but I think he's that professional that he'll accept that somebody else is better than him technically in terms of that passing and stuff. And if he's a good squad player, he's a good player. Put it this way: if Ben Davies has to come on, he's not one who's going to be sulking. So no. I'm good with that.
I agree with you. And I think on Wednesday, all of the players that came on are the type of players that ain't going to sulk. They know they'll get their time. And when they get the time, they've got to claim it and then let the other ones on the bench fight for it. So I think we've got a group of players now that won't be happy to be on the bench, but you won't sulk.
No one's going to be happy. And professional football shouldn't be happy to be on the bench unless there are certain players that have been on because they're getting paid a lot of money. These sort of professionals, World Cup year, Ben Davies is going to be wanting to play. And Wales are in the World Cup. So, he's going to want to get as much game time as he can. So, competition. Okay. Good competition.
Right. So that's this lineup. Now, before I go on, I'm going to put it up. My players to watch, and we've already discussed this. Richarlison, purely because he scored 2 last week, and the man's on fire. Alicia Keys is rewriting that song now from "This Girl's on Fire" to "This Boy is on Fire." Anyway, and Marcus Edwards returning to Spurs. I'm sure he's got a score to settle because we got rid of him, sold him. He didn't bear down too well for him, and then eventually he's now getting into the groove. I think he scored at the weekend, and I think he scored in the Champions League as well. Sam, your players to watch for tomorrow?
As I said, I'm going with Marcus Edwards just for the fact that he's playing against his old team. So hopefully he does start. I think the game would have maybe been different for us in terms of the anticipation had Cristiano Ronaldo gone to Sporting, which didn't happen. That's why I was a little bit. If he does go Sporting, it might be a little bit more of a test because he would have meant the fans would have been getting mental. Didn't happen. Not to say they're not going to put in the performance, they will do, but they haven't got the added bonus of someone like Cristiano coming into their whole setup and ramping them up 10%. Marcus Edwards and Richarlison. I'll go with that as well because you know what I mean. It's all good.
Sean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously, I'm keen to see what Marcus Edwards has done with himself since he moved to Portugal. This is obviously his second team in Portugal. I think he went to Vitória Guimarães, and he just recently been picked up by Lisbon.
Yeah.
I'm kind of keen to see Kane as well. I think Kane relishes scoring goals in this competition. He likes the competition. He likes the fact that he can put himself up against the best in Europe. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Kane. I'm hoping he's going to score. Let's let the game begin. I can't wait.
Absolutely. Right, we've got one more sector to go, but before we do that, just to let everyone know, please smash that like button, follow the channel, and subscribe as well, because everything matters. It's all about analytics and everything, as Sam will tell you. Just smash the like button. It takes literally 1 second. Just do it. Let's have a quick read through the comments, and then we'll move on to the final section. David Clark is saying, good evening from Leicester. Do you know what it's like for me being a lifelong Spurs fan living in a crazy Leicester supporting house when this game happens on Wednesday, on Saturday?
Oh, yeah.
Listen, David, let me tell you something, yeah? And it's breaking news in my ear. So basically what happened was Tottenham's game on Saturday was going to get cancelled with Arsenal's and everybody else. However, the owner of Leicester City rang Tottenham and said, please, can you have this game played at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, if not at our stadium in Leicester? Because when you thrashers, we can get rid of Brendan Rodgers, and then we've got 2 weeks to try and find another manager, because it's an international break. So Daniel Levy said, okay, we'll play the game on Saturday. So don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. Good evening, Johnny Bethnal Green, Stroke Kent. Dave, mate, buy a caravan. He's telling me to buy a caravan.
Put it in his garden, yeah.
Yeah. Mark B, good evening, everyone. Spokes Talk Show, big up, lads. Faz Radford, big up, lads. David Clark is saying here, Conte has assessed this squad and has come to the realization that his tactic is the best chance of winning games. I think we've discussed this and we've sort of come to that realization as well, haven't we?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. David Clark is also saying, look at Conte picks in the last 6 games. Has he dropped Son? Answer, no. I think he's, yeah. Kevin Murray wants to know, how strong are Sporting? I think the 7th in the Portuguese league. I don't think they're a force to be reckoned with. And they beat Frankfurt last week 3-0. But don't forget, Frankfurt have lost a lot of players, especially Kostic and places like that. So I don't think so. I mean, Sean, do you think they're any?
Well, they're obviously one of the 3 top teams in Portugal. I mean, perennially, you've got Benfica, you've got Porto, and you've got Sporting, and obviously Sporting and Benfica, coming from the same city, have a little bit of a rivalry going there. So, but they've already lost 3-0 to Porto early in the season. So, they're obviously not the top draw, but Spurs, we do have a bit of history of slipping up when it's supposedly a free shot,
Yeah, totally agree with you. Players to watch from David Clark. Their goalkeeper with backache from picking up the ball from the back of the net. I like that one. He's also saying, I lose either way. Well, yeah, that's true. And Faz Radford saying the Leicester match could be Brendan's last match for Leicester. I'm telling you, it could be his last match because you've got a 2-week international break. So, you know what? Who knows? Right. I know you want to go, Sam, as well. So let's move on to the final part of the show. And as always, every week, Sam does it for the Premier Leagues where he asks for the predictions for the scores and he writes it down, apart from mine when he forgets. Or when he wins.
You are never going to be allowed to forget that, Sam.
There's no comment. There's no comment on that one.
I ask the Paxton Road team every week for their prediction. And here is the prediction of my team. So, Sam, Spurs to win 2-1, Kane to score a double. Jodi, 3-1 to Spurs, Kane, Son and Richarlison. Mike, 2-0 to Spurs, Kane and Richarlison. I couldn't get all of Darius. I think he's busy, so I don't know, unless he sends it back later on. Deji, 1-3 to Spurs, Kane, Richarlison and Son. Sean, 1-1 with Son. And I said 2-1 to Spurs with Kane and Kulu. So we can theoretically say everyone, apart from Sean, who thinks it's going to be a draw, Spurs are going to win. Everyone's saying Kane's going to score, apart from Sean, who's saying Son's going to score. But a few people have said Son as well. And I've only gone with Kulu. So, thoughts on your match predictions, just score predictions, just bang them in the comment section and I'll read them out. I think PAXTON Road have called it, that Spurs are going to win.
Well, obviously my exception. I just think it's more than 50 years of supporting Spurs that's kind of made me a bit, nervous. And as I was saying, as I was seeing in the green room, the threat of PAXTON Ferreira coming back to haunt me, So, yeah, the last time we were in Portugal.
It won't be a PAXTON Ferreira. We'll win tomorrow.
Yeah. Faz Radford saying 4-1 to Spurs, Son hat-trick and Kulusevski. David Clark is saying 4-1 to Spurs, Kane 2, Son 1 and Kulu 1. So, a lot of optimistic Spurs fans, a lot of people predicting heavy scores tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be a heavy scoreline because watching them last week against Marseille, watching Spurs in general this season, we've not gone off the tracks. We've not hit the track running, and it's taken us. I mean, last week it took Marseille to get players sent off before we actually woke up, and I think it seems to be that same pattern as well. Final thoughts on tomorrow, starting with you, Sam. You think it's going to be an annihilation, or do you think it's going to be a tight game?
It's going to be a tight game. It's not going to be a walkover. But I said our style of play, matching up with a team that's going to want to have possession at home, I think our counter attack is made for it. I think we may get a couple of goals up, and I think we'll concede, but I think we'll win the game 2-1.
Cool. Sean?
Yeah, without any knowledge of how Lisbon line up, if they play a high line, we could kill them. But I would imagine that they will want possession, but I don't think they'll concede space behind their defence that easily.
Cool. So that rounds up the show. That is your information for tomorrow's game. 5:45 kickoff. On BT, obviously, it's going to be an interesting one. Before we go, Sam, what's happening in the future in the next couple of days?
Look out for talking points on Thursday, which will be a combination of the preview for the Leicester game and then reaction show. I'm going to the Leicester game, so the reaction show is going to have to be through Deji, I think, or Darius. So yeah, those are the two things to look out for. Thursday and Saturday.
Have we got a review show after the game tomorrow?
Yes, we can do a review show tomorrow. Yes, we can do. Whoever's available. Yes, there will be a Spurs Champions League review show after the game.
I've got to shoot, so I'm going to have to.
Yep.
Cool. But thank you very much for joining us, Sam.
No problem. I'll catch up with you guys, but yeah, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Yes. One last one before we go. Luis Custodio, Sporting Club de Portugal, not Sporting Lisbon. Apologies, but yeah, you're right. Sporting Club de Portugal. So looking forward to tomorrow evening's game, 5:45 kickoff. Be sure to join us round about 10-15 minutes straight after the game for the review of the game. Sean, you'll be joining me, hopefully.
Yeah, I'll be available tomorrow evening. Yeah.
Lovely. Hope you enjoyed the show, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.